Welcome to another episode of This Crap Was on National Television, and I know what a lot of you are thinking. The Love Boat wasn't a bad show. I've got lots of great memories of it. So do I. I'm sure so does my co-host, Chris Bournea.
I do actually.
Yeah, and for the most part, I described it as sort of comfort food. It's like the craft dinner of television. Not the best stuff, but sometimes you just like it. You know what you're going to expect. It's not going to give you any bad aftertaste, and it's kind of pleasant in its own way.
Yeah.
But, the Love Boat pilot was not any of these things.
No, it wasn't.
It was terrible. And it bore, other than the fact it was on a ship, and there was a lot of stories about love. If you watch this, and I didn't even know this existed when we picked it.
I didn't either until I saw an interview with Gavin MacLeod, where he mentioned it.
Yeah, I didn't know that until, because originally the one I wanted to do, and I gave you two choices. It was either this or season 9, the last season, episode 1, where they tried to retool. And I thought it would be sort of interesting to look at when you've gone on 1 year too long.
Yeah, literally jumping the shark, as in
yes.
The Fonz. Yeah.
Yeah. But with this episode, Gavin MacLeod's not in this, as Chris alluded to, but neither is anyone else you know.
Right. I was trying the gopher, he actually looks like the actor who was later cast as the Doctor, but that wasn't him.
No. Yeah, that was my first thought too.
Yeah.
So the Love Boat started in 1977, but this was September 17th, 1976. The first of 3 pilots of a 2-hour. I don't know if the other ones were 2-hour movies. I know this one was. Yes. And it's based on a nonfiction book. There's another thing I didn't know called The Love Boats by a lady named Geraldine Saunders, who was a real life cruise director. Didn't know that.
Oh. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I thought of my wife with this, and only because she's a director of rooms at a hotel and has been for a while. And then when I talk, and I know a lot of people in hospitality, not on a cruise ship, of course, but the stories they tell are generally not of people just showing up and finding love. Usually it's about annoying guests.
Right.
Or things that happen that aren't necessarily the most positive thing. And I used to.
And there were several annoying guests in this pilot episode.
Oh yes, and even myself, I worked for a train company, and we were all about the guest experience, and the company was very high end to do that. Having said that, for every 10 great things you were able to accomplish, you always remember the one problem or the one guest passenger who made your life miserable.
Right.
But that's not what this was trying to go for. It starts off to me with a bang. I mean, I look at the guest stars and I try to put myself in a 1976 perspective. So it starts off Don Adams, who we know from Get Smart. Turns out he just wrapped up a daytime game show called Don Adams Screen Test, where people would just reenact scenes from famous movies. So
interesting. Never came across that.
I never heard of it myself either, but I guess the point was he was never not working. Maybe not popular, but he was always employed.
Okay.
Tom Bosley, we have our first repeat offender. Because when we looked at Joni Loves Chachi pilot, where Mr. Cunningham shows up, well, this is at the time when he was still playing Howard. So
yeah. And you know what's interesting is I get him and the actor from 8 is Enough confused all the time, and they're both in this.
Oh God.
Because the actor from Eight is Enough, he
Mhm.
was playing the doctor, right? The cruise doctor,
Yes.
which he was horribly miscast. He's supposed to be like this Casanova.
Yep. Well, I always hated Dick Van Patten. Well, I'll go there now. I hated Dick Van Patten as a kid because I did watch those Eight is Enough, and that was one show that was always shown over. And I thought, man, this I don't want this guy as my dad. He's always yelling at Nicholas. And Nicholas was the same age I was, so it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had the same floppy hair.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah. And that comb over scared me,
Yeah.
which he had here present. Florence Henderson, who, yes, the Brady Bunch was over, but every kid knows that show, the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, because it was on in reruns. I mean, well into the 80s, I think.
Not only that, a month after this, and that's something we could look at. Her new show, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, started.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
they gave, like, she was basically America's mom.
Yeah.
So a major star, I think.
Mhm.
Then Gabe Kaplan, who was the star of Welcome Back, Kotter. So we've got another
Yeah.
massive star, and her second repeat offender, Harvey Korman.
Yeah, I was thinking he must have been like an in-demand guest star back in the 70s. Because I mean, I just basically knew him from Blazing Saddles and Carol Burnett. I didn't realize he had done all these guest spots, or at least two.
I think after that, it's just like his agent would call him, I have a yes.
Yeah.
Kind of the Samuel L. Jackson in some way.
And Robert De Niro. Yeah.
No,
Never turning down anything.
like it's hard to imagine De Niro's the same when you look at some of the choices he's made in the last 10 years, and that's the same guy
Yeah.
that I used to always confuse with Pacino. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Another major star who just recently left us, Cloris Leachman.
Yeah. And I didn't recognize her at first with the red wig.
I wouldn't have either. Like
Yeah.
I knew the name was there, but I didn't realize it was her right away.
Yeah.
But she was in season 2 of Phyllis, the spinoff from Mary Tyler Moore. So
Mhm.
she was at her, I don't know about at her peak, but doing exceptionally well. Hal
Yeah.
Linden, Barney Miller was in its second season.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's early crush, Karen Valentine.
Yeah, I vaguely remember her from the 70s because we're the same age, and I was we were both children in the 70s, and I vaguely remember her. But was she on Room 222? Is that what she's known
Yeah,
for?
I never, that one was predated me a little bit, and that wasn't shown in
Yeah, me too.
reruns where I was living. So, but I just remember that was a name, and then I look back where a lot of people just would say that was an early crush, and I
Yeah.
can see why.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. She
Yeah.
really is.
And then the cast, or the main cast, and there's a problem right away, because like at my first minute, it's like, hey, look at these guest stars. This is going to be great. Ted Hamilton is the captain. I
He
never
had
heard
no charisma. Yeah, no charisma.
none, and I think there's already trouble when I wondered whose fault this was, because you look at, he's the only one too who didn't even look at the camera, like during that
Okay.
that open.
I didn't even catch that.
So like, Ted Hamilton as your captain, and they shot him from below, and he's doing this look up, like this already. He's coming off like an arrogant prick, which is what we're going to find him be. So I wonder if that was his idea. He was an Australian actor who apparently did well with an Aussie show. I read that he was later mostly known for a lot of people for his role as the Pirate King in the Pirate movie. But
The Pirate movie? What is that? I've never heard of that.
1980 movie with crap. I've never seen it.
Not Pirates of Penzance, but
No.
the Pirate movie.
The Pirate movie.
Okay.
That's the lead thing on his Wikipedia, where apparently he's mostly known. And he was sort of like playing a Princess Leia in Star Wars, where his accent was coming in and out. Like, you're an Aussie. They should have just let him play an Aussie.
Yeah.
Do that. It would have been an easy enough thing. Well, he's from it's an international company, presumably. I mean, why couldn't he have just been Australian? He couldn't.
Yeah, which is interesting though, because I always think of Australian and British actors as being able to do really good American accents.
He couldn't. This guy could not, and sometimes he was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then we get to Dick Van Patten as the ship's doctor, Dr. O'Neill, Adam O'Neill, and even just the opening, like he just looks like, I don't even know how to describe it. He looks surprised by the camera, and like, and yet they portray again Dick Van Patten as the Casanova. Him. I had a hard enough time as a kid believing it when it was the other doctor.
Okay.
Bernie Capel, who played Dr. Bricker. I struggled with that one, but at least he had a suave style to him.
Yeah, he had a swagger. Yeah.
Yeah. Dick Van Patten, I thought almost like he was trying to cover up for other things. And he kind of was. He was a creep. He played it as if he was a colossal creep, which we'll get more into. Theodore Wilson, the only other actor that I'd heard of, with the exception of Dick Van Patten, as the bartender, basically
Isaac.
Isaac. I knew him mostly from the tail end of Sanford and Son when they were trying to like still beat that dead horse, and he took over the junkyard and he turned it into a hotel as a Sanford Arms.
Yeah, I knew I had recognized him, but I didn't know from where. I don't think I ever saw the Sanford Arms.
He was also in That's My Mama.
Another one I never saw. That was Clifton Davis was the star of that, I think.
Wasn't Clifton Davis the star of like every black show in the 70s?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, like
not the ones that I watched.
Incidentally, one of his co-stars was Ted Lang, who later would.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah. Sandy Helberg as your yeoman purser. I'd never heard of this guy. Never saw anything else he ever did. Apparently, he was in Spaceballs, but I don't remember. Joseph Sakari as Nino, your steward. Nino was pretty annoying, I found. They never replaced him, or they never decided to get a main steward as the show just developed. Catherine Ish and Richard Stahl appearing in the lounge. I wrote down, this is like, I didn't know that they were entertainers. I just wrote down like, God, if I saw this couple at a bar, this was like the couple that I didn't want to strike up a conversation with, which would be proven right. I didn't realize they were entertainers. But Richard Stahl, I'd seen him in I don't know how much stuff. He was in It's a Living, that TV show.
Okay, yeah.
Always working. It was in one of my favorite teen romps, Private School as the creepy uncle.
Okay.
A role I think I could play perfectly now, the creepy uncle. And the person I felt the worst for, Terry O'Mara as your cruise director. I'm just going to call her Fake Julie for the rest of this.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was a terrible actress, but she apparently never acted much after this.
Yeah, the interview that I saw with Gavin MacLeod, was he just pretty much bluntly said, he said that she was miscast, and Aaron Spelling realized she was miscast because they were looking for someone who was, not to put her down, but someone who was more beautiful appearance-wise.
In her youth, until she kind of coked herself up, which she did.
Who did?
Lauren Tews, who.
Oh yeah.
She snorted herself out of Hollywood.
Yeah, actually, Gavin MacLeod talked about that in the interview for the Foundation Archives or whatever that Television Academy series is called. Anyway, but yeah, so like you said, she wasn't bad. She was decent as the cruise director, but they were looking for someone who had like a glamorous kind of look. So I don't know why they cast her in the first place.
But I never thought of, and I know they sort of dressed her up that way, but I always thought initially that she sort of had that girl next door quality.
That's how I thought of her too. But I guess they just wanted someone who was cute and the girl next door.
Yeah. Incidentally, like back when I talked about my train company days, there's someone who I knew who worked there who was she worked in HR and then PR. Like she had that that infectious, bubbly personality, so much so that you thought it was a put on, and then you get to know her and realize, oh God, it's not a put on.
Wow.
It's that's who she is. And so like there's a bit of that going on. I guess so. Then as we go through the credits, also starring Jimmy Bayo. So Chachi's brother's in this.
Oh wow, I didn't know he had a brother.
Yeah, yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, he was also in Soap. He's also in one of my favorite sports movies as Carmen Ranzani in The Bad News Bears and Breaking Training.
Okay, he wasn't the one of the caddies in Caddyshack, was he? Because there's a guy who looks just like Scott Baio in that movie.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. I don't know the actor's name, probably because I don't think he did much.
Okay.
But yeah, love Caddyshack.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, so as we go into this, then this is where everything sort of falls off the rails almost immediately. Brief glance, we see the captain again, sort of looking all, I don't want to say regal, that's what he's going for, but it just looks like, I'm better than you, and why don't you know it?
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a far greater miscast than anything else.
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't in that many scenes. I think they must have realized that he had no on-screen chemistry.
I think so. And also too, the editing was all over the place. When we watched Love Boat as kids, and all the people who were watching this, you remember the Love Boat had a very solid structure. You had your opening, everyone's coming aboard. We already learned pretty quickly, well, we recognize these celebrities. We know that they're going to be in a comfortable misadventure.
Yeah.
This time, we see that there's going to be 3 stories, but they give us this all in chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Which made it really, I mean, it wasn't
disjointed. Yeah.
Well, the ironic thing is the way Love Boat was disjointed, but that was the way we knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we see is Florence and Don Adams. They're paired off. They're yelling at each other. And then we don't see them again for another 45 minutes. So all we know is their marriage is in a bad spot. There's Dr. Dick Van Patten. He's seeing someone off, a very attractive woman. And the first thing is like, and I wrote down, in what universe is Dick Van Patten getting a hot blonde? It's not happening. It just isn't. And then he's accosted by, I wrote down middle-aged woman. We're just going to call her the Cougar, although she later says she's 32. Okay.
But you know, people did look older than their age back then.
They did. Yeah, it's. But then when they got old looking, they just stayed old looking forever, and then everyone caught up.
Yeah.
We're the same age that Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. Think about that for a second.
Wow. Oh my God, that's really depressing.
Which, isn't it though?
Yeah.
And what's even more depressing, look at Paul Rudd, who's 53.
I didn't realize he was 53. I thought he was 50. Like just in his 40s. Wow.
Well, like 53 or 52, but yeah, he's already past 50. And I don't think he's sort of gone under the knife.
No,
I don't think so. So anyways, the Cougar says, well, makes a joke about your warm stethoscope. I mean, it's, and Dick Van Patten tries to do one of those faces, and it's just not working. Nothing he does works in this. As much as I joked about how I hated him as a kid, as age enough, he played the father, and he did it well. I mean, that's who he was. We see Hal Linden enter, and he's doing the trope of the hectic CEO. Harvey Korman enters, and he's the annoying life insurance salesman, trying to find the one straggler, and it's Gabe Kaplan.
Right.
Within 20 minutes, you go from liking this character to not liking him at all, which was kind of interesting. I thought. I always loved Gabe Kaplan as a kid. Maybe if I would have saw this, I would have said something different. Back to the captain's bridge, an annoying photographer and a model enter, and then I wrote down, Captain just can't act. He can't even convey frustration very well. Basically, they were under the impression from the cruise director that they had permission to go aboard, but they didn't. Then we see Tom Bosley and Cloris. They're paired off. I said there was nothing more 70s I've ever seen in my life than Tom Bosley's suit.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
The typical, I think they called them leisure suits, right?
Didn't a leisure suit, weren't they one like a unisuit or something?
I thought the leisure suit was just a suit that was like looked polyester and had like big lapels
This had that.
and bell bottoms.
Well, yeah, this is
But
not
maybe,
it just, but also the short tie, the
mhm,
matching
mhm.
hat with the same fabric as everything.
Yeah.
It's a weird couple, and he brought a fishing rod. I thought, like, he's never going to use this fishing rod. Eventually did. You're on a cruise ship. I've never been on a cruise ship before, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to be fishing off
Yeah.
a cruise ship.
Yeah. Like reeling in marlins or something off the off the front deck or something.
Yeah. So we learned they're from Muncie, Indiana.
Mhm.
Apparently, they're like, you don't really know the. She comes off like Cloris Leachman comes off like a social climber. I also wrote down, I think this is going to be the first time I've ever seen Cloris Leachman in a role where I hate Cloris Leachman. And that turned out to be the case. I did not enjoy her in this. And I have enjoyed Cloris Leachman in everything because she is, to me, the consummate pro.
Yeah.
I like her so much that I even considered watching Dancing with the Stars because she was on it. And I hate Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, I saw like I didn't see like a whole performance that she was in, but I think I saw a clip where she like propped her foot up on the judge's table at the end of her performance, and she was like, I think she was in her 80s at the time.
Yeah, well, she's just awesome. Just
Yeah.
And the older she got, the funnier she became. It's like Betty White gets all the love, but to me, Cloris is, if Betty's 1A, then Cloris is 1B. You know,
Cloris is like the like naughty sister of Betty White.
Right, and they were in the same show together. Also,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because wasn't Betty White's character the like promiscuous one in Mary Tyler Moore?
I think so. I that was also one of those shows that was a little before my time, and when they ran it reruns, I don't want to say that I didn't get it. It just didn't speak to me.
Yeah, it didn't grab me either.
Yeah, that might be one that I think I want to give another look to. But
yeah, Rhoda, her like spinoff grabbed me more, but Mary Tyler Moore not so much.
I could see you be more of a Rhoda type, just sort of the gypsy thing. All right. So, and it looks like Cloris is trying to get her. And from little we know, they're from Muncie, Indiana. They bring that up a lot. He's comes off very blue collar. Turns out he's actually very successful, but whichever. And she actually asks the crew, fake Julie, are there eligible men here for my daughter?
Yeah, that was the creepiest part of this storyline. It's like it seemed like all they were interested in was finding a rich man to marry their daughter off to.
Well, he wasn't. Tom
Bosley. Well, I got the sense that he didn't mind if she found someone. He just had to be rich.
I didn't like get that from him.
He just didn't want a bum.
Well, or a fake.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing that he always stayed true was sort of real. This might be the only character I actually liked.
Oh, really? Tom Bosley's character?
Maybe I'm biased because I like Tom Bosley.
Okay.
It could have been that. Bias is always playing. We meet Gopher. I wrote down that I didn't know whether he was a slacker or a nerd, or just a bit of both.
It was an ill-defined character.
Where Fred Grandy was a klutz, or he played Gopher as a klutz, and he was sort of nerdy, but maybe because he wasn't terrible looking, and he meant well. This guy didn't seem to mean well about anything. Like, all right, I'll just get to my job.
Yeah, he was just clueless.
Yeah, he was a putz. Yeah. Captain calls the cruise director to the desk, and then we see the awkward confrontation. And so that's this is our tension on the crew. It's between Captain and fake Julie, because Captain gave her shit for something that didn't happen. And it's just like, well, it would have been a simple enough explanation. I said, I will talk to the captain and see if it's possible. That's enough. That would have been enough for me. But this guy's play is written like an asshole, and I don't think this guy could have done anything. I don't think the captain could have done anything, or Tom, or whatever his name is. I forgot his name. That's how important it was. The actor could have done anything with it, but even if there was a way, he couldn't have figured it out. This guy just couldn't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Somehow, how Linda knows fake Julie. I could care less about the backstory, but they did know. I guess it just sort of gives her free reign to be a busybody, which she is.
Right.
She looks at a picture of the captain. Captain Allenford is the name. Just gives an angry face. So like, ooh, one of those little tropes. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this man. Did you get a feeling too that there was just all this underlying sexism of this woman trying to get ahead away in a bit?
Which woman? I'm sorry.
Fake Julie. You know,
you mean like in what sense?
Okay, Captain treats her like garbage right from the start, and she's pretty much the only one of the crew that we meet who has any clue what's going on anything.
Right. But I thought that was the point. Are you saying like they were trying to show how sexism works, or are you saying the show itself was being sexist?
Yes. Yeah, in sort of a weird way. I don't think in the late 70s they knew they would ever come up with anything that would sort of showcase sexism in any kind. Yeah. I mean, the whole show, this whole episode. I mean, I don't think other than all the women here are colossally flawed. Not that there's great men here either.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get so much. I mean, definitely, I thought the Julie character was supposed to be seen as she's the voice of reason. She's sort of the connective tissue that connects all these storylines together. So that I thought was not really, I mean, I didn't think that was sexist. I see what you're saying, but I thought it was more the opposite. They were showing that she's the voice of reason, and yet she's being demeaned because she's a woman.
I think I'll tie it to a scene at the end which really, the one that just kind of grated on me, I guess, with 2021 eyes. But we'll get there. It's like right at the end of that.
Yeah, there's a lot that could grate on you with 2021 eyes.
So we get our first crisis. It's the purser said Gopher can't handle an annoying kid with a pea shooter.
Right.
So he asks Julie or fake Julie to do this. The character's name is Jerry, but fake Julie. Like, she's the cruise director. What does that have to do with her job? So first time I wrote, where the hell's security on this boat?
Yeah.
This is a job for them. And so the kids, it's Jimmy Bayo, gets Harvey Korman, and then tries it with Karen Valentine, another who and puts the kid in a chokehold.
Okay, so the kid is Jimmy Bayo, Scott Baio's brother. It's not Mike TV from Willy Wonka.
Well, I don't know if it was in Willy Wonka, but I know it's Jimmy. I know it's Scott Baio's little brother.
Okay, because he doesn't look anything like Scott Baio. But I thought it was Mike TV I thought it was the actor. I don't know the actor's name, obviously, from
I don't, maybe
Charlie and the Chocolate.
It could be, but that's definitely Scott Baio's kid brother.
Okay.
And so Karen Valentine, who apparently just could see through the door, opens the door, blocks the pea shoot shot right before anything happens, and puts the kid in a chokehold. Like, can't do that.
Yeah.
Figures out automatically where the mother is, brings the mother there, and we find another, and there's another crisis. She doesn't have her luggage.
Right.
This is another instance too where I noticed, like later on, I think it was Princess Cruise that would sort of sponsor the show, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. There was no Princess logo or anything like that because clearly they would not want any screw ups like this. So there's
Right.
piles of things that are happening on this ship that do not make you want to go on a ship.
Yeah.
First thing's the annoying kid.
Yeah.
Second is my luggage is gone, and we're going to have a hell of a lot more coming up.
Yeah.
So there was no sponsorship whatsoever. And usually that kills something, but maybe in this case, the opposite. I don't know. It's weird. So she can't find her luggage. She makes a bad joke. She says she's in room 36C. That's not her bra size.
Yeah. So that's an example to me of sexism from the era.
You know, another thing that this, and I can't believe I wrote this down, not for this one, but for other things later on. This needed a laugh track.
Yeah, it did.
I've never thought that in anything in my life, but this one did. Like,
yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
But I guess because it was a movie, quote unquote, it was in movie format, TV movie. I guess that's why they didn't have the laugh track.
Yeah. But yeah, so just like little things like that. Another innuendo where the doc shows up and he's looking at Arnold's mother. It's just disgusting. Harvey Korman and Gabe Kaplan, as Mr. Cotter, they're paired up. They're sharing a room. We learned that Gabe Kaplan's character doesn't really want to be there. Who would, frankly? You're on a cruise ship and you're there to do insurance seminars. Who books it this way? Who thinks this,
right?
Things like this. Harvey's the straight laced guy, and Foreman's the slob. Ooh, never seen that trope before.
Right.
And he basically comes out and says, "I just want to come here and have fun, and I want to get sex."
But again, when would Gabe Kaplan be a sex symbol? in what
In
reality?
1976, he might have been. Elliot Gould was in the early 70s. Look at him.
Yeah, but Elliot Gould, I could see as, being considered darkly handsome. Not in the case of Gabe Kaplan. He's just maybe it's because he's a comedian. There's nothing about him that's
okay. But it's also the same decade where women actually openly said, Woody Allen's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who actually said that over and over in that decade. And I guess, it's the Madonna effect, I call it. Madonna told everyone for years that she was so hot. And for a long time, people, myself included, bought into that most attractive woman on the planet. No, she wasn't. No, she never was. She was never even close. But if you keep telling enough people that you are, and Woody Allen kept being in movies where he would be with Diane Keaton, or I never got Woody Allen. So
Mariel Hemingway, yeah, okay, always younger, or most of the time younger women, which is we see why now.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? He's still with the same girl. He's still Soon-Yi. So I guess it turned out to be the right choice, however he got there, but or not, I don't know. It's still cool. Or Mia Farrow, actually. There's another one.
Yeah.
So if you're a female and you're looking at a bunch of attractive women who are into this guy, maybe through osmosis, I don't know. So the 70s were a strange time.
Yeah, they were.
I think.
And also the Gabe Kaplan character, I kind of got the sense it's like he wins over this model with his like humor.
Which he did.
It's not so much that he's such a heartthrob. It's more so that like the guy that you wouldn't expect her to go for, he gets the girl because of his humor.
Yeah.
And his sheer persistence too.
Which is in the whole Me Too era is very, very creepy. As we'll get.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is the story that we're going with. They're going full in on this one. And that's where we learn pretty quickly, okay, we're not going from character to character to character. We're going right all in on one story. So Kaplan's now at the bar, and then he avoids the cougar. Again, Cougar 32. That's so weird to me. Then sees the model, and he's just instantly in love, having known nothing about her. And she says nothing. Her name is Banaka. She's with the photographer and her mother. and he's just absolutely in lust. He goes back, tells Harvey Korman about it, and he doesn't care. In the next scene, he crashes the photo shoot. And I wrote down for a ladies' man, but because they built him up that way because he said, like, you're always with different women. Da, 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 da. Well, he's got no game here. Initially, he's making a mess of himself, just being a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And then, considering he destroyed the photo shoot, the photographer was very helpful, gives her information, says, well, no one's ever been able to get to her yet. Why are you helping him?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, why would the photographer want some man distracting the model he's working with?
Exactly. And someone who's at this point really annoying. Why are you giving him help? This makes no sense. Then they're doing a slide presentation. He bails on that one, leaves Harvey high and dry, whatever. Crashes another photo shoot, and he threatens to throw himself overboard if she doesn't date him. And he pledges his love like you haven't even heard her talk. I thought, well, I honestly thought at this point, oh God, they're gonna do it like a trans thing, which and play this for a laugh. That's where I thought they were gonna go, and thank God they didn't.
Yeah,
but maybe they should have, because the payoff was maybe worse. I don't know. It was just lame, no matter what they did. He kicks. She agrees. He pretty much has a fight with Harvey Korman, not a fist fight with Harvey when they gets back there. You better get the hell out of here, and threatens to and it's implied that because of his attitude, he's going to lose his job, which I guess he did or didn't. I don't know.
It didn't seem like he did at the end. Yeah.
And Harvey leaves, and then Harvey meets the cougar, which that's the last we see of Harvey for a while. The model comes over, they have sex. It's implied they have sex. I'm assuming they did. And
well, I mean, they're in bed with nothing but covers covering them. So
yes. And Gabe's pouring out his heart. I just want to know everything about you. Da, 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 da. And all she says is love it, which I guess isn't her real voice. And then finally she decides, she opens up everything. And I don't even know what voice this was trying to be. It wasn't her voice because her head was turned to the camera. And it was just this childlike.
Yeah, Betty Boop.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what it was. And she's clearly a moron who's experienced absolutely nothing in life. And then Gabe realizes that he's made a huge mistake. And at this point, because of the way they made this guy to be this, in 20 minutes, they turned a beloved comedic actor who people like and say, well, hey, I don't blame you. I don't want to see a bunch of slides either, to the most shallow, moronic person who might have blown away a pretty good job for a woman that, had he just ever heard her talk, he wouldn't have even bothered.
Yeah.
There's no sympathy at all for this. There's no comedy. There's nothing. This is a horrible payoff. Like, what the? This is where I stopped watching for a bit. I couldn't watch this in one sitting. It's so hard to watch any of these in one sitting.
Yeah, it is.
This is awful. So this pretty much ends the first portion. And right now, we're 1/3 in. There's not one thing redeeming. Nothing. All right. Karen Valentine still doesn't have her luggage, and she's acting a lot calmer than I would. Calmer than I've seen people when I worked at the train station, when it took me 6 hours to find their luggage, let alone the 5 days it took.
Yeah, really.
For this. Oh man, I've had to drive luggage 5 hours to a different.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was not fun. But that's a story that no one came to hear. Dick Van Patten hits on Karen Valentine. How come I haven't met you yet? Because I haven't been sick. And Dick Van Patten does his bad look. I can't even describe. Now we see Jimmy Bayo playing on the drums, annoying the lounge couple. I don't know who's more annoying, the kid or the lounge act.
Yeah.
I'd have to say the lounge act. And then I again asked, where the hell's security? And then fake Julie, this is the worst thing she did. She's trying to get through to the kid. Because again, why is this her problem? I mean, doesn't a cruise director worry about activities and everything? Not necessarily. When did she become the ship's counselor?
Right.
Like, how did this happen? Or the ship's babysitter?
Yeah, it's like, because she's a woman, it's like, oh yeah, just it's her job to babysit.
That's actually a good point. I didn't sort of think of that. But there is no other woman apparently who works on this crew. No, now that I think about it, there really wasn't any until Captain Stubing's daughter showed up.
Yeah.
Huh. There was also always the tokenism too. I mean, you knew if there was no black guest stars, Isaac didn't have much to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which, here we go.
Yeah, there were plenty of black TV and otherwise stars in the 70s they could have had.
Sure, but if they weren't on an up, like, but if it's like even the older days of Saturday Night Live.
Uh-huh.
If it was, that's really up until like maybe 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If it was, I don't know, like any black guest star, all the black cast got to be in a lot more sketches than they used to.
Right, right.
You know, because only in the last 7 years did they even let their sketches actually play interracial couples. If you notice, that's still something from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to be one of the most progressive shows.
Exactly.
Guess not, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, it goes to speak to, why writers' rooms should be diverse and not just a bunch of white guys from Harvard who know each other from writing on the Harvard student newspaper.
Well, I even remember that as a kid. I'm a sucker for bad dating shows, so I'd watch Love Connection. Mm-hmm. So it always the same thing. You have the white couple, or the white guy trying to get the 3 white women, or white woman. And so like it makes you think, and growing up as a kid in a predominantly white area at the time, oh, okay, well, I guess there's no point being attracted to a black girl because TV tells me I wouldn't get them. Yeah.
It's the same with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I mean, they just recently started having black contestants.
No, they always had, but they never had one as the lead.
Yeah.
And they always seemed to, like in the first episode, they'd only have like one.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd have 2, and it'd be like the same trope almost, like it was done on purpose, which either it was or it was just a giant coincidence, which is possible.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, well, I got to at least put one of them through to the next round.
Right.
It's always how it always felt. But then things also have changed a hell of a lot more in even just 10 years, which is weird. Anyways, fake Julie tries to get through to the kid by doing a Donald Duck impression. Okay. And Jimmy Bayo gave the same reaction, and I think the rest of us did, like, are you kidding? It didn't really work. And either way, we'll get back to that. Finally, we see Tom Bosley and Cloris. And she, again, comes off very unlikable. Like she's this big social climber. Like, well, what's wrong with good old with Mr. C? He seems to be a great guy. He's provided. He got you on what was it, not Cleopatra Suite, I forget.
Yeah, the name of the ship. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like the elite thing. So clearly the guy had money. He just was. So, but he was blue collar about it, which we find later. And then this is where things got very strange. I thought they want to get Cloris, wants to get the daughter with a rich husband, and she's met somebody, but it's somebody she went to school with. So who was already rich. But I guess she didn't know that much about him in school because she's learning all this stuff about him. And apparently he owns a brewery and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know. So they all have dinner. Richard Garrett III was the name. Okay.
Name of the character or the name of the actor?
I don't know the name of the actor, but that's the name of the character. Richard
Yeah, of
Gere
course you have to make him a third to make him sound like he's rich.
usually works, I suppose. Thurston
Yeah.
Howell the third. Robert
Yeah.
Griffin the third became rich as the quarterback for the Ravens. Well, yeah, so his family's an heir to a lot of soap king, and then he owns a thing with a brewery. Tom Bosley's not really that interested until it looks like this kid can drink beer. All right, he's all right. He's not a bad kid. Seems genuine. Kid's doing okay, and we learned that this is an interesting thing. Tom Bosley's character made his money because he invented a zip me up
Oh yeah, for single women.
for single women who need help with that. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that sort of existed. Although just you didn't seem like the type of person who'd come up with that idea, but I don't know, whatever. I wonder, that must exist, I guess. I don't know.
Someone's got a patent for it, whether it's actually sold, it's being sold. Someone
Well,
patented that.
It's one of those things that probably is existed and you don't know who invented it. It's like
Yeah.
I watched a chick flick with my wife, and the guy became rich because he invented that paper cozy you put over around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and okay, well, why not him? I don't know who did it.
Right.
You know, it's like who finally came up with the idea to put wheels on suitcases? Like that seems like so obvious, but no one
Yeah.
did it for years. So all right, why not?
There's that whole subplot in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion
Post-it
where
notes.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what they say is like, well, who knows who invents it until someone actually knows who invents it.
And that was before Google was really widespread. You can just take your phone out of your pocket and Google something.
That's crazy. I mean, 1990, I think it was a 95 film. That doesn't even feel that long ago, but
I know.
yeah, cell phones were still in a bag then.
Yeah, I think that was one of the jokes in the movie is like, she's like, oh, I have a phone. And she takes this huge brick out of her purse or whatever. One of those old flip phones, the huge ones.
Mm-hmm. There was a pro wrestling manager. His gimmick was when his guy got in trouble, he'd throw in his phone so that the other guy could use it as a weapon. Wouldn't quite work now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this big giant brick phone. Yeah. Zach Morris too. Didn't he have one of those?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I guess we're getting away here. Bosley's getting drunk. And the Cougars hitting on the captain. And we get nothing from the captain. He's just like he gets nothing to work with. I don't think that Ted Hamilton, I don't think he could have done anything with this, but
no,
just nothing. Although I do picture the Gavin McLeod and what the faces he could make from that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, was it a chicken egg thing? Like, was the captain's role more substantial than they saw that this actor was miscast and was too late to find someone else? So they cut out a lot of stuff with the captain?
That could be.
Yeah.
That could be. But also, too, I mean, they might have been thinking of it in a different way because these are all no-name actors for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And your guest list is the who's who of the mid-70s.
Yeah.
So that could be also it. Or, you know, like you said, maybe in post, it's like, all right, this just isn't working. We got to put this out. Maybe it's not as bad as we think.
Yeah.
Which could be. You know, not everyone has that luxury like they did, like Spielberg had, to say, you know what, we just spent millions of dollars, but Eric Stoltz, you're out, Michael J. Fox, you're in. After they shot 6 weeks.
It's probably not so much the expense because, you know, it's Aaron Spelling. It's probably more so the schedule. Like they have to have this pilot aired. It has to be broadcast by a certain time.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Tom Bosley's already pissed off because he left them with a giant bar bill, which was that's a lot of money now, $247.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what that would be the equivalent, like, I don't know, like $2,000. Like, I told you I'm a drinker, but it's just cheap beer for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah. So For whatever reason, he must have the brightest banker in the world, because he calls his banker back in Muncie, and learns that there is no rich Garrett family in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, RG3, I'm gonna call him that, has asked her already to marry him. Like, he went to college with him. You couldn't have maybe figured out, whatever.
Right.
She agrees. Drunk Bosley finds him with the cougar, and who we later learn is the aunt, or was an aunt by marriage. And Bosley throws a terrible fake punch and knocks out RG3. Gives everything to all the information to the family. They're handling it way better than I would expect they would. And then we learn all about that. And what the city's wrong. It's Philadelphia. And they all say, well, just go get her. Go get your man. And she's not even remotely upset about this Three's Company type of thing that just happened, of miscommunication. What? Nobody reacts like this. Nobody gets married this quickly, let alone after maybe you've decided to. There's no roller coaster of emotions where this works. The Love Boat itself, the fun show that we remember that was hard enough to believe, let alone this monstrosity. I guess they lived happily ever after. I don't know. Well, we never saw more of that. And yet this was a better segment than the first one. Oh,
my thing was, if they didn't find out that he was actually rich, then that seems like that's all they cared about, was that I understand he was like, they didn't want their daughter being with someone who was passing himself off as something he wasn't, but it seemed like they were more concerned that he had money than anything else.
I think she was, with him, because he did play the blue collar thing well. I think he just wanted something genuine. Didn't he say that he didn't care?
He may have, but it just totally just seemed like the only reason why the guy was a knight in shining armor is because he turned out to actually be rich.
That's true too. Maybe I'm looking at this with Mr. C colored glasses. I don't want to believe that this guy could possibly be bad. Now we get to the Hal Linden storyline. Jesus. They're lined next to each other at the pool deck, and their drinks are mixed up, because he ordered a Caesar, she ordered a Virgin Bloody Mary, which I thought was a little strange at the time to throw in the virgin part until we'd learn why.
And it's interesting, I guess she had her bikini in her pocket because at this point her luggage hasn't been found, but she's wearing a bikini.
That's what, I guess she wore it underneath, maybe. Underneath her very
she wore a bikini under a suit.
Under a pantsuit, yeah. Well, I wrote down, well, it looks like they're bonding. Barney Miller was striking out. They're trying to do some pratfalls. Karen Valentine might be a decent actress, but she can't do pratfalls. She doesn't do them terrible. I've seen worse, but she's not a comedic actress. Or physical comedian. She can't do it.
Right.
And then this is where I actually wrote down, this is where a laugh track was certainly needed. Fake Julie brings in a cable, Jesus. Is that what they used to call telegram? I don't know how that works. Hal Linden plays, and then Fake Julie decides, this guy I haven't seen in forever, and this passenger I just met, I think they'd be a great couple. Good thing she got it right, I suppose. She mentions also that she's not interested in dating. She just was interested in taking her seasick pills and her land sick pills, which became more clear why. Because I was like, why are you on this boat if you're going to get seasick? But anyway, she still has no luggage, but she gets a dress loaned, and she says, well, I promise you're going to have a great time. I'm going to put you at this great table. Oh, okay. She's going to go to the captain's table. No, it's a romantic thing for two with Hal Linden. I did write down I wanted Hal Linden's shirt. That shirt.
I don't even remember his shirt.
It's this almost looks like a snake skin, sort of like a diamond.
Okay, I do. Yeah.
You
I
know,
do
something that
remember
The
it now.
Rock would have wore
Yeah.
because, you know, I look so much like Dwayne Johnson, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of like those flashy shirts, despite the fact every time we do a show, I'm wearing a ball cap and a stupid t-shirt. But he's got game. He's working it, and we learned that he gets her back to her room, and we learned that she's not just a teacher; she teaches deaf kids. So I wrote down, if I ever divorce my wife, which will never happen, but if I ever do, and I'm trying to seduce a teacher for deaf kids, do you read lips? Yes. Then read mine, and then move in. Oh, do you shake your head, Chris? Hal Linden made that work. Barney,
Okay.
no, you don't think so?
It just was too corny, way too corny.
Sometimes corny works.
I guess.
Yeah, well,
Maybe it was the shirt.
might have been the shirt. I
Yeah.
also might have been looking at this with Barney Miller glasses. I don't know. He was just sort of suave looking to me with the.
Hal Linden.
Yeah, I never remembered him that way. Just always remembered him in his cop gear, or you know, like just like the desk sergeant shirt, just trading barbs with Fish and Jack Sue, and that was a great show. Barney Miller.
That's what I never watched either. I caught bits and pieces of it because it was on all the time, but
well, she takes off. I guess that was too much for her, and then the next thing we know, he's like swinging a golf club. Okay, I'm not much of a golfer. I know this much. Where the hell did his cast go? Because he was limping in before.
okay. I for some reason I didn't catch that.
Well, because when he's doing the golf swing and he's got to move, you got to move your ankles a bit. How the hell is he able to move both ankles that well and do a golf swing?
Yeah, why would he be golfing at all?
Well, I mean, a lot of them have a driving range there, so you can do that. But still,
No, I mean, if he had a cast on, he wouldn't be golfing.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, the cast wasn't there. So, all right, that's a continuity error. It's a pretty big one, I thought, but so be it. She shows up, and then they flirt again. And said, "Well, let's try it again," and they do. They go back to the suite and they have sex. And I said, Lyndon's got game. So, because they're going to have sex before they have dinner. Says, well, what about dinner? How do you feel about lamb curry for breakfast? Yeah, right. I just like these lines. I was trying to find something positive. This was the best I had. Because the next segment will get much worse. Anyway, they congratulate themselves on their maturity, saying, well, whatever happens, happens, until they say to each other, well, I love you. I love you too. Oh, I can't love you. And then she takes off. Also, she still doesn't have her luggage. They figure out it's actually in the honeymoon room where this couple had, I guess it's a subplot where there's this couple, they've just been, again, having sex for 5 straight days. They never left the room. Gopher finds it. Whatever. Dun, 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 dun. Hal Linden decides, I got to figure out what's going on. He goes to her room, and then it turns out she's pregnant. I didn't see that one coming. I should have, but I didn't. Then they go into a real weird place about abortions, and it's like, man, isn't this only a few years after Roe v. Wade? Like, I don't know what the political climate was at that point.
I think it was definitely this point in the 70s. It was definitely much more liberal, and I think it was also the Norman Lear effect, where liberal issues were, he had sort of opened the floodgates to be able to talk about taboo things that you could never talk about before. Yeah. So it was definitely, And it almost seems like things have almost, like, I can't imagine post-AIDS having all these scenes with people having, barely knowing each other. It's almost like.
That was the 70s, from what I'm told.
Yeah. But I mean, it was definitely pre-AIDS, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Hal Linden handles it better than I would have. Someone I just dated said they're pregnant.
Yeah, he's like, oh, instant family. Wow.
One thing also we should talk about, and they do address, is the age difference.
Yeah, they
How
make a sort of passing reference to it.
they made a couple, and I'm glad they did, because
Mhm.
as much as I'm sort of saying how suave Hal Linden looked, he
Yeah.
still looked a hell of a lot older than Karen Valentine. So I looked it up, and
Mhm.
he was 16 years older.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, even when fake Julie says to Karen Valentine, "Well, is it because of his age?" No, I like mature guys. You know, it's the younger ones who just want to take all my clothes off. That's what Hal Linden did. Did the exact same thing. But okay, fine, whatever. We're not exactly getting a strong, empowering woman here, especially too
Mhm.
when fake Julie says, "Well, even after you make them a great dinner, and they still want to, and you watch Monday Night Football with them."
Yeah.
Okay, I I watch Monday Night Football all the time too, but I don't quite know where that's all going. It's a straight. The whole thing was just a mess. Oh well, but anyways, that we know that it's going to be happily ever after. So the love boat strikes again, uh, and then they go. Actually, they actually got married on the ship with fake Julie as the maid of honor. Okay, and Dick Van Patten was the best man. I mean, I know the guy came on the ship alone, but you're going to pick this guy.
Right.
But I guess who are you going to choose from? I would have picked Isaac.
Yeah.
Just you can't pick Gopher. You know he's a klutz. The captain's busy. I mean, pick it. Pick the kid. Pick Jimmy Bayo. Pick anybody. Anyway, the cruise alarm goes off, and turns out Jimmy Bayo said it. He just rigged the whole thing. Uh, and so he barrels out of there. Out of there. The captain, again, for a guy who's supposed to like try to give this commanding presence, he barrels right past him, knocks the captain's coffee into his shirt, and he doesn't even do anything. He doesn't like, hey, stop here, kid. Kind of would have. Like, I'm not trying to go on for child abuse here, but if Karen Valentine can put him in a chokehold, you can grab him by the shirt.
Yes.
You already spilled. Like, what kind of former Navy captain are you? So then, of course, this is fake Julie's fault. I don't. And calls for her to come to the quarters, and he's in there changing. Like, you can't do that. You can't invite a female coworker in your quarters and you don't have your
Mhm.
clothes on.
Exactly.
Like, if you do that now, you'd be fired. I think
Worse than that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I know we've swung way too far in another direction, but where's the common decency here? Like, basically, he suggests to lock up the kid, and then this whole thing is her responsibility. Because again, that's her job. And go to your earlier point. I mean, I guess, well, she's the only woman, so she's the only one who knows how to handle a kid. Us men don't know how to do it. You know?
That's for sure.
God. That's another thing here too. So then we see the kid who's now with Tom Bosley, and they're bonding over fishing. And
Mhm.
the kid says, "I got nothing fun to do." And I wrote down here. Here's another shitty example of why you don't of how this is a bad thing for cruise ships. Why take your kid? They got nothing to do. All right, so now Dick Van Patten's massaging fake Julie. And it's creepy as hell. What are you doing? Like, how is this happening? And then he tells her, "Well, I know the captain for a while, da 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 da."
Mhm.
And she gives him a kiss. Like, thank you. Like, what do you what the hell is going on here? This is, or am I just looking at this with modern eyes too much? I can't even imagine that in a workplace. And I guess that
No,
happened all the time, but or did it?
no. This is a very 70s pre-Me Too movement uh, storyline for sure.
Well, we finally get to the other couple after an hour and 15, 20 minutes. We got Don Adams and Florence Henderson wearing a turban. I don't know what it is about women in the 70s and 80s who were in their middle ages wearing turbans.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrible look. It,
It was, I think it was like inspired by that like classic movie star thing. Like, I don't know if you remember I think in Sunset Boulevard, there's a scene where she's wearing a turban.
yeah, I've never seen that, but I think I know what you're talking about. But
Yeah,
yeah, I guess it's a callback to old Hollywood.
yeah.
Like, this just anyway. So they're fighting over. Like, she's making fun of his plaid jacket. And she's got a turban on. Okay. They're fighting because basically he works too hard at his job. He sells dental supplies. We learn also quickly that she hates kids, has a pile of pets, and was a former president of population control. All right, Chris, I know a lot of people, men and women, who are into pets and have maybe more than they should.
Mhm.
They don't wear fancy dresses and have a turban.
Yeah.
This package does not make any sense. Yeah, it's just not likely. We learn also too that he wants to divorce her, and he's been planning this, and I guess he's going to try and do that on the ship. Why he would pick this venue, I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
None whatsoever. Yeah.
In the pre-cell phone era, I just ignored people. Granted, I wasn't married at the time, but I wouldn't decide to do that on a ship.
No.
And I did get divorced. This is my second marriage. We just said, okay, yeah, we're done. And that was fine. I didn't have to take her to spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah, maybe it was supposed to be the last hurrah.
Which,
a reverse honeymoon, I guess.
well, yeah, you don't do that with wives. You do that with women you don't care about, or in some cases, men you don't care about.
Well, he had a mistress, according to
yes,
Florence Henderson.
Angel Face.
Yeah.
We never did learn her name because, hey, it's a woman. Their name's not important. Of course, I'm calling her fake Julie. So what do I know? Maybe I'm not so great at this myself. So they're fun. They're going to apparently that lunch, dinner, whatever they're having. He gets a call, and it's from his mistress. And he says, you know what? I'm going to do it right now, honey. I'm going to do it right now. And then he says, I got some news for her. And she thinks, oh no, it's Rocky the raccoon. I knew I shouldn't have left him. Okay. You don't have a pet raccoon. And if they did call, why are they calling him?
Right.
And it's just like, again, this show has made me hate Florence Henderson. It
seems like this was like her attempt to try to like break out of the Brady mom image.
Sure, but yeah, maybe that's why she was laying it on a little thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading too, Don Adams was always trying to break out of his image, but Don Adams couldn't do it. Don Adams was that one guy who had that one face every time he wanted to do a comedic pratfall. My dog agrees. Yeah. If you like corgis, you can follow him at Jasper _ the friendly corgi at Instagram. I might as well
okay.
Since he's going to interject himself. Yeah. Yes, I know. So yeah. Don Adams couldn't really break out of that, but again, he was always working. Florence Henderson, I don't know how hard she tried, but she never had to. She was just so lovable and likable. And even when
that was the point. It's like she wanted to play a character that wasn't lovable and likable.
Right. But whenever you'd see her in interviews, you'd know pretty much that, okay, she's sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, playing a character, and she's just awesome. I stumbled like on a YouTube vortex, and it was like an old David Letterman back in the NBC days. And he's just going around like looking at celebrities. So, oh, there's Danny DeVito, but it wasn't Danny DeVito. And there was Florence, but there was Florence Henderson. And basically everywhere where he went was just Florence Henderson doing, it just got weirder and weirder, just funnier things where she was pretending she was a mannequin.
Okay.
And just realized pretty quick Florence was awesome. Did you ever read that The guy who played Greg Brady had a major.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And they actually went on a date.
Yeah. And probably because she figured out, well, and I'm sure she knew how to let him down easy for that, but it's just awesome. Anyway, I don't know how California law works, but apparently she decides pretty quickly that, okay, if you want to divorce me, fine. And you realize I get everything because I'm the injured party. And I don't know how that works. Maybe, sure, whatever. For television purposes, I'll run with that. She tricks him very easily into, and says, "Is there another woman?" No. Well, how old is she? 22. So we learn. And again, Adams does the same facial shtick that he knows how to do. Florence calls him a child molester, then does a big cackle. And I wrote like cackle like Kamala Harris when asked a question she doesn't know the answer to, and then falls off the boat. It's like, what the hell are we going here? But fell on, I guess, another side to another deck, and she's okay. But she's getting her back looked at by the doc, who is creepily looking at her ass.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, this is terrible. He then comes up with an idea that, because he realized he would have been happy if she died. Like, where's this going? I don't remember any Love Boat episode where the husband wanted to kill the wife.
Yeah, this is much darker than the Gavin McLeod days for sure.
Oh my God. So then he remembers that he sees her swimming in, I guess, the only pool on a crowded boat that's got nobody around.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then he says, "Hey, let's play like when we were young. When I used to hold you underwater till you couldn't breathe." That's what that's fun. Sounds like fun to me. And he tries it and he fails. And as he's getting oxygen in the doc's office, he sees poison, because that's what all good doctors have, is 6 jars of poison that are marked poison.
Yeah.
Okay. And this got very Looney Tunes, but no matter. He spikes, so then he tries to spike her drink, make margaritas. She doesn't want it. Florence overhears Don Adams call the mistress. She actually winds up calling the mistress somehow. I jumped ahead, because that's when the doc realized, when he was rubbing Florence down, that he was missing a bottle of poison. Florence figures out that, oh my God, he was trying to poison me. Well, she handles that a lot better than most people would. Do you not? Well, you can't call security on this boat because there isn't any. You can't even go to. Oh my God. Then we see the lounge couple who are doing a bad magic act. Don Adams is there by himself and gets pretend shot. Part of the shtick is that there's a real bullet, or so they say. Which, why anyone would have a real bullet there, we learn they don't. But he realizes, hey, I can get my wife here, and then just be an accidental shooting, because he learns all this information from Isaac, who again is disgusted by listening to the same bit over and over. Again, doing a great job selling his cruise ship. And I think that's what probably cost Theodore Washington maybe this job, like from going forward. He could have done the happy-go-lucky Isaac thing that Ted Lang did, but they made him be the surly guy who just, look at these dumb white people. Like, not your, he was doomed to fail. It's not like he couldn't have done that. I'd argue he was the bigger name of, he's the only one I ever knew that I could find any actual television credits going into this. So, but whatever. Anyway, so she brings her there. He actually realizes that he doesn't want to kill her, because she says, you know what, we'll just split everything 50-50. So again, it goes right back to what you were saying before. Everything's all about money here. That's now solved everything. He steps in front of her when it looks like she's about to get shot, but he's not really shot. He's shot with now a fake one that's just jelly filled. I don't know how that quite works, but I'm not a stunt man. I guess Alec Baldwin doesn't know how that works either. Oh, was that too soon? No? Okay. And Florence has figured out this whole thing, but she's just like, oh, Dawn. Or again, he's tried to kill you 4 times. And you seem to be okay with this. So much so that when you went back to your cabin, you seduced him.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
What is this? I can accept some 70s logic, Chris. I can accept women's roles not being very well defined.
Mm-hmm.
I can accept that now that I realize it, of course Isaac wasn't gonna get to talk much. There was no other guests other than just white people. Yeah, no problem. So, but what do we have here? So anyway, this is pretty much wrapping everything up. We're near the end. Jimmy Bayo goes missing again. Turns out he's playing poker with Tom Bosley. Everyone gets sent off. This is the scene I wanted to sort of close here. The captain invites fake Julie to lunch and she's, oh good, I'm finally accepted. Yes, some of the other people will be there. It's like, why do you need his acceptance so much? You already pretty much told everyone he's an asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Florence and Don Adams are deep in love. Hal says, well, the secretary might have a problem with you. Why would the secretary have a problem with his wife? Why would she care? The only time we saw her, you were giving her orders.
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, it's about time you got married. And he looks surprised, like, well, yeah, great way you're treating your staff, asshole. Gabe is running away from Blanca. Harvey's with the cougar, and everyone lived happily ever after. Amen. This was terrible. I don't know how they approved this for another possibility. I blame everyone.
Yeah, I especially blame Aaron Spelling, who had many TV shows under his belt by this time and should have known better.
He learned.
Yeah, he knew it needed to be recast and reshot, which he did.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where I can't believe they got a second shot or a third.
Mm-hmm.
I guess wrapping it up, and I know if you came to sort of like hear from a great thing of Love Boat, we do like it, just not this. And if you watch how it started, you can find it on YouTube. That's how we found it. Just do YouTube Pilot 76. 2 different things will come up. The one with Florence in a turban. And Chris, I've got some terrible ones that I found for our next episode.
Uh-oh.
Send off to you.
They just keep getting better and better.
Think of Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, wow.
Meets
Who
Patty
we both
LaBelle.
met, right?
Hmm?
Who we both met, right?
Well, I've never met him.
Okay.
Yeah, I just heard him verbally once.
Okay.
But Rowdy Roddy Piper meeting New Edition and Patty LaBelle.
Oh my God. Oh my God. My God.
I'll send that over to you. And with that, everyone, stay safe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll explore more crap on national television.